It is Monday, and it's Monday, June the 1st. And as I always do, I'm going to repeat that. It's Monday, June the 1st. It's the afternoon, and I pray you're doing well. Well, today I just feel I need to do something a little different. I've been coming to you every day with, sometimes a word of encouragement, sometimes one thing or another, but we are in amazing days right now. Denise and I sat in our living room last night. We were talking, we had the TV on in the background, and I don't know whether she said to me or I said to her, but it's kind of like we're watching everything that was going on, and it was like a movie. It was like, this can't be real. But the sad fact is that it was real. We'd just been looking not long beforehand, and we'd just been looking that north of our home, up in Cave Creek, there was, I don't know the current state, but there was a 1,200 acre fire that was raging. And when I was looking yesterday, it was just 10% contained. And there were aerial pictures of homes that had been burnt. Thousands of people have been evacuated. And I just thought of all of the suffering and all of the trouble that has. I know that we see it in other parts of the country many times, but when it comes right back home, you suddenly realize just how terrible some of these things are. And the sad thing is that if you believe science, and I know you can go overboard in believing science, but I don't think you have to be a rocket scientist to know that climate is changing. When I grew up back in London, I remember days when we would be shoveling snow and we couldn't get the car out of the garage and things like that. But now climate has warmed up. I don't think it snowed in inner city London for quite a while. I believe that we're in a time of change, a time of transition. It was Morris Cerullo that first told me a couple of things. He said, first of all truth is parallel. If there's change taking place in one environment, in one realm, it'll be taking place in another. And if you want to look at what's happening in the world of climate, we're in a big transition. I have to tell you, we're in a huge transition. But the second thing he told me was that the first step to win a war is to know you're in one. So let me tell you, I believe we're in a war. I believe that the worldwide weather chaos and everything that we see is just one little evidence of the fact that we're in a time of war. Just today I was reading that the scientists in the UK are completely unable to explain how in Britain it's gone from overwhelming floods now to just a time of drought. And then how can you not think about what we all have been fighting for 3 months? 3 months now trying to protect ourselves against a new virus. I've heard people say, well, it's similar to the flu and all the rest of it. But the reality is that 3 months ago, there wasn't one person on the planet Earth had any degree of immunity to what we're facing now. I remember, when you see things on the news, sometimes you think, wow, that's going to be a big story. And I remember looking at what happened in China and seeing how they reacted with 100% lockdown in that city of Wuhan. And I remember telling Denise, I said, wow, if ever that gets to the United States, it'll be terrible. Because in the United States, Americans are too independent. They're too much wanting their own way. They're not going to take kindly to being told, you stay at home. And even when some kind of a stay-at-home order was issued, when you go out, the roads are busy. Maybe a little less busy, but we're used to having it our way, right? When we want it and our way. I look at other nations in the world. I know particularly I'm involved with what happens in Israel. When the coronavirus first hit Israel, they took a very strong stand. They closed down anybody from coming into the nations. The airport's closed. If you somehow did get back into Israel as a citizen, then you were required to self-isolate for 14 days. And I just was reading now that in Israel, over the last 10 days, the increase in the number of cases of the coronavirus has just been 0.1%. You know, I have to tell you, I'm concerned about what's happening in our state. I understand all of the pressures, and I don't know how our leadership can possibly please everybody. You've got some people saying, open it up, some people closing it down. But you have to be concerned, right? When just on Saturday, there was a new record for the number of new cases. 702 people contracted it and was reported just on Saturday. So I want to tell you that we're in a war, and this is another evidence of it. And I just pray that this evil will be stopped. I pray that the curse will be reversed. But if you ever doubted it, how can you not watch the news and realize that we are indeed in a war? Every night now for the last 6 nights, city after city in America is under assault, with buildings on fire and bodies lying in the streets. And, you know, I don't know what to tell you. We were all sickened. I can't say it for you. I know I was sickened. We were sickened to see the killing of George Floyd. You know, there was a rare moment of national unity when national leaders, whether it be white, black, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, atheist, everybody reacted. And reacted to say, this is terrible. How can this happen in America? How can we have somebody that is mandated, who is hired to defend and to protect the law and to protect us, and here he is apparently committing almost what it seems to be murder? And so I understood the protests. I really did. But you know what's happened now is the protests are dying down, and what's taking place now is not a protest. It's vandalism, it's rioting, it's terror. You know, someone driving from downtown's Phoenix or wherever, as they apparently did the other night to North Scottsdale, to break into stores. And I see people running, or on the film, running into the Apple store, taking everything that's in sight. I tell you, that is not a protest. It's robbery, it's a riot, it's chaos, it's lawlessness, and I tell you what, it is wrong. So what's happened now? I don't know about you, but the horror of seeing a man killed by a rogue cop has been replaced with a passion to see justice and to see these thugs put in jail. I mean, I don't know about you, but I just get indignant when I see people smashing in and going in and looting stores. I mean, they looted the Apple store. I don't know how much good that's going to do them, because if you get an Apple iPhone or anything out of an Apple store, it's got a serial number. And I guarantee you, Apple will be tracking what happens to those devices that were stolen. But nevertheless, when you see what happens, it makes you remember what it says in John 10:10. The thief cometh not but to steal, to kill, and to destroy. That's the purpose of the thief. When you see that kind of stuff going on, you don't need to have a spiritual insight. You don't need to have the gift of discernment. You don't need anything. Read the word. When it talks about stealing and killing and destroying, that is the work of the enemy. The rest of that verse, though, says, I am come that they might have life. Who's the they? It's you and I, but it's also those young guys. It's the young guys running up and down the streets. We need to be proclaiming the gospel now more than ever. We need to be working for equality and for justice. So, I don't know about you. Do you think we may be in a war? I believe we're in a war. I really do. I've watched, there's a TV ad running of somebody that wants to be elected to the Senate, and the ad says that when you go to war, it doesn't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat. I've privately mocked that ad by saying, well, that might be true if you're going to war, but you're not going to war, you're going to Congress. So I have a word for that politician. We don't need a political war. We need to be engaging in a spiritual war. When you make a compromise on what is right and what is wrong, what happens? You get chaos. When you allow babies to be slain in the womb, why are you surprised when we have what we have today? When you redefine marriage, why are you surprised that 23% of American children are growing up with only one parent in the home? Over 3 times the number of that percentage is 3 times the worldwide average. Why are you surprised that when we look at TV and we see the hordes of young men, black men, white men, all running, why are you surprised when 65% of black young kids are raised in a home with only one parent? So what's happened? We've abandoned truth, we've abandoned God's word, and as it says in the scripture, we've turned everyone to our own way. And what do we get when we turn everyone to our own way? We get chaos. We get what we're seeing. I just pray that the Church of Jesus Christ stands up and speaks up. This is the time to say to the world, the thief cometh to steal and to destroy, but I am come that we might have life. Now that doesn't let you and me off for standing up for social justice. I hate seeing people just living with the fear that a white person is going to come along and do them harm. It's crazy. It's the same indignation that I have when I hear that Jewish people over the years have said it was the Christians that hated them. I tell you what, I always want to say to those people, listen, I don't know about Christians. I'm a Christian and I love the Jewish people. I'm a Christian and I believe that every man created by God is equal. Doesn't mean that we have equal opportunities. It doesn't mean we have equal abilities. But when we favor one group over another, I mean, this whole thing of race relations in America is crazy. I'll talk about it sometime. But right now, we need to be pleading with God. We need to be pleading with Him for mercy, that this thing that the enemy has brought on, whether you look at all of these different things, they all are evidences of a fact that we are in rebellion, and we need to be rebuking the work of the enemy. We need to be binding the spirit of lawlessness. We need to stand up, we need to speak up, and we need to pray up. So this week, Pastor Luke is calling a solemn assembly on Wednesday night. I don't know if you're going in person, whether you go or whether you don't go. I'm so thrilled that we are taking a stand. We're standing up and declaring victory in these various areas where we see the evidence of the war that's taking place. This is an all-out war. It's on every front you can imagine. I have a prediction for you. Before long, it will be in the economic world. You can't go printing millions and trillions of dollars and not devalue the ones that are in your pocket. So there's a price to be paid. Maybe not a price we need to worry about now, but I'll tell you what, we have the answer. We have the answer. The answer is to be found in the book. The answer is to be found in the source of absolute truth. The answer is to be found on our knees. So that's my thought for the day. I'm sorry to go on a bit of a rant today, but when I see it, I realize, my goodness, I wonder if everybody realizes what's going on today. So I hope you do. I hope you'll pray. I hope you'll intercede for our nation. And I pray you'll pray for our leadership. I didn't mean the leadership of the church. I'm talking about the national, the state leaders. I pray you'll pray for the police force. I pray you'll pray for the first responders that are still dealing with this COVID-19. So I'm going to sign off, but I hope something that I've said today resonates with you. And I just want to pray that you will right now feel his peace in your home. I don't want you to be overwhelmed. Greater is he that is in us than he that's in the world. But I don't think this is the time for us just to sit down on our blessed assurance. We need to be up. We need to be praying. We need to be speaking up. We need to be declaring, thus saith the Lord. Love you all. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. God bless. Bye-bye.